Thank you so much for tuning into the Property Show. I'm Manisha Natarajan. The Finance Minister has already expressed her intention to push big-ticket reforms in the 2021 Union Budget. Industry leaders and citizens all have high expectations that the budget announcements will lift the Indian economy from the pandemic slowdown and accelerate employment. A critical aspect of any V-shaped recovery that everyone is hoping for is to revive India's housing market and the realty sector, which make up for 7% of the GDP. Today on the show, I ask industry leaders, what can the Finance Minister do for the sector? A warm welcome to my guest, M.R. Jaishankar, CMD Brigade Enterprises, Baman Irani, CMD of Rustomjee Group, and Bhairav Dalal, partner and leader, Real Estate Tax, PwC India. Gentlemen, thank you very much for joining me. I'm going to just divide the discussion into two parts. The first one, how do we resolve the finance choke and improve the cash flows for the industry so that projects which probably have become stuck or have slowed down can be delivered? The second part of our discussion will be how do we make home ownership more affordable and accelerate sales from the current 2 lakh housing units per annum to perhaps 5 lakhs. That should be the ambitious target, which was the peak in 2013-14. All right, Mr. Jaishankar, let me take up the last question first. What can the budget do to improve affordability and encourage home buyers? Which of the tax breaks are you hoping for?
Thank you, Manisha. There is a lot the FM can do for the real estate sector, and the sector is eagerly looking forward to the February 1st budget. As you know, the sector is received the brunt of the government policies from November 2016, beginning with the demonetization and introduction of GST and RERA. Though many of them are good by itself, but the sector has been affected badly. And when the market was beginning to improve in 2019, very unfortunately, the whole world is affected by the pandemic. With the result, real estate is one of the worst affected. But having said that, the government can do a lot to make the housing affordable. I will say some of the few things. See, GST is one very major thing. Some of the cement, which is a very basic material for construction, is treated as a luxury good and charged the highest rate of 28%. That is something which has to come down. So also, steel, which also is charged 18%. The entire sector, in order to encourage demand, because it supports all other core industries, should be the GST rates should be brought down very substantially, maybe to 12% or 8%, like that. And what is also an important point which most people do not know, now that the input tax credit for developers is removed, the government has imposed an additional 5% GST, so which is in reality is a burden to the buyer. So that can be either removed or brought to a 1% GST like that is there in affordable housing.
So GST remains a big demand. The GST of all under construction housing units, which is currently at 5%, ready units don't have a GST, should be at par with affordable units at 1%. Let me toss the question.
I just have an additional point on GST to be made.
Go ahead.
See, if a particular apartment is say 100 lakhs, government says the land value is only 33%, 33 lakhs, and 67 lakhs is the construction cost, and GST is imposed on the entire construction cost. In reality, in most places, the land component is much, much higher. If it's in a CBD kind or if it's a Mumbai kind, the land cost may be as much as 70 to 80%. Right. But even in a normal case, it is 50%. So government is charging GST on a much higher value of construction cost, which is it's a cost push effect to the consumer.
All right, sir.
Ultimately, the consumer is bearing the brunt.
Bearing the brunt. All right, so very important point made that where are the land prices? I mean, especially in CBDs and of large or top 7 cities, they're really not at 33% of the entire cost of the house or the housing project. Boman Irani, my question is to you. Tons of things that I have read, and I'm going to just, point to a few, which is like high tax rebate on housing loan interest under Section 24 from 2 lakh to 5 lakh, and also increased deduction limit under Section 80C from 1.5 lakhs per annum. These are some of the things which we've repeatedly, I've been doing the pre-budget show for the longest time, and none of these have ever been addressed. Do you really believe that the combination of all these tax breaks can actually accelerate sales?
One thing and only one thing that we've been asking time and again is to allow people who can afford to buy a home to be able to kind of set off their interest paid amounts, that is Section 24, against whatever income that they're making. This one single act without a limit, I mean, you just mentioned from 2 lakhs to 5 lakhs. I don't understand the need for a limit. If you look at homes in let's say, all the urban sprawl, and if you go by the reports of, all the agencies, they say that 50% of this country or 60% of this country will be urbanized by 2030 and 2050. You should allow people to be able to go out there and own homes in urban areas. So 2 things out there. Allow me to buy a home and set off my income against the interest that I pay to the bank, because A, I'm paying 18% GST on the goods that are being made. That is against all the materials that I'm using, against all the services in real estate. Add on top of that, I'm paying a 5% stamp duty to the government. Add on top of that, our demand of dropping that 5% which they're charging on homes to 1% other than just the affordable sector. You are already collecting a huge amount in taxes. This little step of Section 24 easing out and Section 80C being eased out will add a phenomenal fillip, I can tell you, in the city of Mumbai. Just one single move by the government of reducing their stamp duty from 5% to 2% for a short period of time, we saw the graph of home sales go up. We need to understand there is an inherent demand. All you need to do is heed to our request for spurring the home buying to a quicker pace by the purchasers. I don't believe there should be any limit. This 2 lakhs, 5 lakhs, 10 lakhs, let us not be shy. A 2 lakh rupee which you're giving off means you're allowed to buy a home let's say a loan of 30 lakh rupees. I'm saying, please, for God's sake, open our eyes, allow people to buy 5 crore rupee homes. How does it really matter? At the end of the day, if you give them that advantage, they'll buy homes, which will spur your economy, which will spur your employment, which will spur your total taxable, revenues, every which way. And plus, you'll provide what everybody needs. And our Honorable Prime Minister has identified homes for all. We should give this advantage this time around, Manisha.
Fair enough. So these are very strongly brought out points. Bhairav Dalal, couple of other demands from the industry that I see, and I'm going to ask you. So relaxation of stamp duty, first of all, seems to be more like a state subject than center, but at least the direction can come. But there's also another demand of remove Section 50CA and 50C and 43CA for the variable that you see between any property that is sold and also the circle rate or the ready reckoner rate. So my question to you as a tax leader is that, first of all, is there room for the government to to do this? Is that not going to affect the government's revenues? Will it be made up with the volumes of sales?
So two points. I also want to go back to the earlier point which was made. One, I think the whole GST related subject can no longer be addressed by the budget. There can only be a guidance, and the ultimate decision will rest with the GST Council going back into the legislative amendment. So we should not focus too much on pushing for GST related amendments in the budget. Completely agree with the point which Boman made on the 2 lakh, 5 lakh thing. One more point over there which was brought about 2 years back or 3 years back was the second home which a lot of professionals purchase and give it out on rent. Any loss from that was not allowed to be set off against salary. That actually brought down the demand for buying homes as a second home or a third home for giving out on rental housing by a big margin. So reversal of that will also add to the overall demand that we are trying to create. Coming back to your question, these two sections were specifically brought about for anti-abuse provisions because of the fact that there was not always the right disclosure when it came to property dealings. I think that has substantially gone out of the window over the past few years. And the fact that the government values and the market values are not in sync has led to a lot of pain while dealing in properties because of these sections. I don't see these sections being withdrawn completely because the government still wants to have anti-abuse provisions in the law. But a reasonable margin can be introduced, or just to kind of spur the demand in the short term, a specific provision can be brought that in the next 1 year or 2 years, these sections will not be operational, and you bring them back into the law 2 years down the line. So something like that can definitely be done, which will definitely have a push on the demand.
So you're saying if not, scrap it forever, at least give a short-term relief. And
Absolutely.
I'm going to read out something that you've said, which is very critical. Remove the restrictions which have been set on set-off of loss from house property. That's an important one, which actually encourages people to buy second homes. If they can afford it, why not? As they're investing in the stock market, they should be free to look at real estate as an asset class, which also is a good inflation hedge. All right. What about the CLSS scheme? Baman, how effective has it been? And I know that we've heard that CLSS for middle income houses is likely to end by March 31st this year, which is 2021. Do you want it to be extended just like it is for LIG and EWS? Is that a demand, or do you believe that will anyway come?
I believe that is the need of the government. They should go ahead and do it, given that 1 year was absolutely lost in COVID and they've seen some great results over there. But can I just touch upon the earlier point that that Bhairav has addressed? Manisha, the Prime Minister has made a statement, which was, I think, at least a WhatsApp clip seen or news article, wherein he has spoken to the Income Tax Department, where he said, improve transparency, increase trust, right? I'm saying housing is the most in need of improved transparency and increased trust by all, and starting with the departments itself, because this broad brushing of rates, where you are simply at all penalized if you're not getting a price for a home. You please tell me, where is this control on the stock market or the share market, right? You can sell a share at any price. You can book a loss and you can go ahead. Why am I not allowed to sell my house if I need the money urgently at, let's say, even 25% lower than the market rate? You're actually boosting the market itself. You're boosting the sentiment. You're boosting your, somebody's ability to buy a home. Why do we have this restriction? With the belief that every transaction done is actually something where, cash monies have transacted. Really, it doesn't happen anymore. It was those bad old days when we saw a lot of cash in the business. Today, everybody wants to kind of, take advantage and make it simple. Let everybody be able to take advantage of all the schemes. I want to touch upon GST. You're right, Bhairav, I need to go to GST Council. But why can't we just think at the FM's level that we can just make things so simple? Drop GST to 1% for all apartments, because you're collecting GST across the board for every service that a real estate developer is providing. And that we've given so many options to them. But I'm saying, if you want to stay with the simple formula, charge them 1%, they are fine with it, and let's go ahead and, spur the sales that take place. That's it, Manisha.
All right. We have taken up a lot of time in this segment. We're going to take a quick break and come back to discuss what do we do about the liquidity that the sector needs very urgently to get the stuck housing projects unstuck. Stay with us. Watching the Property Show special on the Union Budget 2021, and we have with us top real estate industry leaders sharing their wish list. One big concern I've heard from the industry participants, the sector desperately needs oxygen, which is better liquidity and financing to complete projects. Baman Irani, is this a problem of the second rung developers alone, or are developers like you also facing it, and what are you hoping to hear?
Money is the lifeline of the real estate business, the blood, basically. The government has seen, or rather is cognizant of the fact that a lot of developers have gotten stuck because of, the changes in rules that took place, delayed in projects, and liquidity getting, totally jammed up for most of the developers. I think one of the things that we have to do is remove the restrictions when an incoming developer takes over a development and has banks funding in, remove all restrictions, remove as many restrictions as you can. I think Bhairav will be able to put more words around that, but basically to tell you, remove restrictions, allow developments to be taken over. You allow factories to be taken over. You allow projects to be taken over. Allow real estate developers to also take over the project without facing consequences of the liabilities created by the earlier developers, or without facing any other restrictions that there may be. And this itself will see such a spur. Developers like me will go out there and take on projects when I know it is safe to do so.
All right. Mr. Jaishankar, are top-ranked developers facing any kind of a liquidity crunch at all? Is this demand, like, for example, we had Mrs. Renu Karnad on the show last week, and she said, why don't we have 2 or 3 Swami funds, increase the amount from 25,000 crore to 1 lakh crore to complete the projects which have been stuck for very long. That is a single reason perhaps that the confidence in the housing market isn't returning in full.
Yeah. Manisha, I totally agree with Renu's opinion. Currently, the Swami fund, the so-called Swami fund, is about 25,000 crores, which has definitely helped developers who have stuck funds as long as they meet the norms. And it is a great idea to increase. And I think it is a fairly good success. 25,000 crores has helped release thousands of apartments. So if it is increased to 100,000 crores or 1,25,000 crores, it will only help. But by and large, I can say major developers who are, I would say, conservative and following proper norms are by and large not stuck. But there are quite a few developers who are stuck for whatever reason. So while one Swami fund maybe is one answer, but the real answer is help developers or help the industry create demand by what we mentioned earlier about either GST or tax deductions, etc. In addition to what me and Bowman said, well, why not even the capital gains investment under Section 54? Earlier, there was no limit a few years back. Now, recently, the government has said capital gains benefit you get only if it is, capital gains is below 200 lakhs. So this kind of restrictions, trying to give a concession in one hand before it reaches, you take out the concession from the other hand. Between the cup and the lip, there is quite a big miss. While government is talking of ease of doing business, you ask any businessman or industrialist, is it really becoming easier to do business? Certainly not as far as the real estate sector is concerned. While the things are a bit better in the center level, right, but when it comes to, say, a state level, the challenges are huge, state and civic authorities level, which is what we developers in the real estate sector have to deal with. So we want the ease of doing business to be a reality, not just, lip sympathy.
And yeah, on paper, but not really flowing down. Like you said, center probably has shown its intention, but when it comes to dealing with civic authorities and state level urban development authorities, it's not translating. Bhairav Dalal, would you agree with both the developers that, why have so many little things, this limit, that limit, you can take this much of exemption on your interest, you can take this much of exemption on your capital gains. Why not simplify? This government has been talking about just simplifying taxes, and that's one thing that the finance minister can do. Taxes is totally part of the budget announcement. So do you believe that it will spur demand? I mean, if all these 3 or 4 tax demands are met this time, it would be a big bonanza for real estate sector.
Yeah, I think overall it does have the capabilities of increasing the demand because when I as an individual I'm taking a real estate decision, a buying of real estate or selling, taxes play a huge part, whether it is under construction GST, whether it is stamp duty, or whether it is the overall income tax. I think 2 points which come to my mind straight away and which are very easy to do for the whole funding and demand part. One, in today's environment, foreign investment is not permitted for completed stock or for inventory purchase. And we know there are a lot of foreign investors who would be happy to buy bulk inventory and maybe use it for rental housing or as and when the demand comes up, they will sell at a slightly higher rate. So if they are able to purchase inventory and do inventory trading, I think it will act as a huge liquidity boost for the sector. On the capital gains side, something that we've been trying to tell the government for a long time is, why don't you introduce a scheme for the next 2 years where if I buy a property in the next 2 years, irrespective of when I sell, I don't have to pay capital gains tax. By that, there is no immediate loss to the government, but it definitely has a boost of picking up demand that yes, when I buy, I have a 20% extra return shield now because there is no capital gains tax. So that's something that should definitely be on the cards to just increase the demand.
I wish we could have this conversation for a little bit longer, but gentlemen, we've run out of time. Thank you very much. I think we've covered more or less all the points, but the last one, which you mentioned, Behera, was very important, that why don't we just give a one-time capital gains exemption for purchase of residential units? Baman, I believe you want to make a point quickly if you can. We have 30 seconds.
Very quickly. Manisha, in talking to bankers, what I've realized is everybody's sitting on tons of liquidity, but because they are not able to do a one-time restructuring of their loans, they are not in a position to give this liquidity, and that's why we've got to rely more and more on Swami Fund. So while I agree entirely, Swami Fund should be gone up from 25,000 crores to maybe 1,25,000 crores to aid the industry. What is also very relevant is one-time restructuring by most of these banks and NBFCs should be allowed for the schemes that they've undertaken. This itself will put a lot of liquidity into the market again.
Well, RBI is already worried and has raised lots of red flags on the NPA. So let's see which way the wind moves on that one. Thanks again. All that I can wrap out saying is the countdown to the union budget has begun, and whether this post-pandemic budget addresses every wish list that the industry has remains to be seen. I do know the finance minister, if she manages to do that, the right thing to just ensure a sharp economic recovery and GDP growth, I think every sector will stand to gain. Fingers crossed on the tax demands that the industry has. I sign off, and we shall meet again same time next week.